The fact that these are meant to be jokes shows how bad the left is doing right now.
She won't just protect Plan B. She is Plan B. Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact, was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
Kamala Harris is going through the honeymoon period, and right now the polls are showing that she's doing great, that she actually might be beating Trump. But you know what? Right now is the honeymoon period, so everything is looking good. But I don't know for how long. Take a look at this clip.
Plus 19 with urban voters, plus 18 with college-educated voters, plus 13 with suburban women, and plus 25 with voters who were double haters who did not like Biden or Trump. Those have now gone plus 25 to Kamala Harris.
So she got to enjoy these numbers right now. We're still like over 100 days left to the actual elections, and they still got a debate to do. And the more and more we see her out there, and more information comes out about how incompetent she is. Because in my opinion, she is just incompetent, not ready to go toe-to-toe with Trump. The man just took a bullet for this country. Crazy. Let's take a look at these. Let's take a look at this Jesse Water report.
In D.C., the words President Kamala Harris used to be an inside joke. Last year, party kingmakers tried peeling her off the ticket. The headlines were everywhere. Democrats shouldn't ditch Joe Biden. They should replace Kamala Harris. The case for Biden to drop Kamala Harris. For the country's sake, Vice President Harris should step aside. The Kamala coup was in full swing. Her whole staff had quit, and they were leaking she was a soul-destroying boss and a bully. Biden wasn't the problem. Kamala was. High-level Democrats had to rally around an 82-year-old Joe Biden because they feared the nomination of Kamala Harris. Joe Biden was fighting Father Time because he was concerned Kamala wouldn't be able to beat Trump. Alas, Kamala survived her coup, and Joe didn't. But Joe had the last laugh. Investigative journalist Cy Hirsch says Obama dangled the 25th Amendment over Biden's head to get him to step down. Now, Fox hasn't confirmed that, but sources close to the Biden family say Joe gave Barack one big FU. If I'm out, then I am endorsing Kamala, is what Biden said.
He did a good play right there. He said, yo, if you take me out, I'm going all in on Harris, and I'm going to nominate her. So he's going through it. And it's not him. I'm thinking it's Jill Biden, the one that's making the decision. Because old man Biden, I don't know about all that.
And Barack's fuming. Sources tell the Post that Obama knows she can't win and is furious that things haven't gone his way. He wanted an open primary, but Biden backed the party into a corner and jammed Barack, which is why his endorsement video wasn't ready. It came almost a week later. So what does the left do when they're about to lose? Lie. They want you to believe the woman they tried to fire is giving Trump fits because she's the next Obama.
What he sees in Harris's rise is that she's becoming a cultural phenomenon. And I think that's very difficult for him to process and deal with because it can be very politically potent.
The celebrity president with a mugshot and an ear pierced by an assassin's bullet isn't the cultural phenomenon in the race. It's Kamala, the pantsuit messiah. Democrats say she's potentially Obama on steroids. And New York Magazine says, welcome to Camelot. There's an actual Kennedy in the race, and they're giving Kamala the Camelot cover story. They're using the same special effects on Kamala that they used to disguise Biden and are calling it momentum. But in brand new polls, Trump's beating her in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia. So is Kamala Harris making anyone change their votes? Black men said no.
How many of you know a black man who has expressed to you that they're committed to voting for Donald Trump? For the brothers who have told you that or said that to you, has the emergence of Kamala Harris changed that for those brothers?
No. Same new sales lady, same bad product. Voters aren't buying it. Let's hear from some white guys in Michigan.
Does Kamala Harris getting in the race change the equation at all for either of you?
Change it, it ruins it. If she gets in, we're done. So
I don't know the what.
America's done for.
This isn't what CNN and MSNBC were expecting. But she's got to have the ladies on her side, right? Miranda Devine in the New York Post says this: she has achieved nothing on merit. Every plum job has been handed to her by a powerful man. She's a man's woman. Every woman knows the type and instinctively does not trust her. Everything about her drips with insincerity. Democrats can try to rebrand Kamala, but the Biden record's hers. Broken border, crippling inflation, 2 proxy wars. And voters are already realizing Kamala's more radical. Defund the police, abolish ICE, decriminalize border crossings, ban natural gas exploration. That's Kamala Harris. It's on tape. She campaigned on getting rid of private health insurance. She's into slavery reparations. The woman wants government-run daycare, literally the nanny state. You have a baby, hand it to the government raises it for you. Cha-ching, that'll be $2 trillion. We can't afford Kamala Harris. She's a dangerous Marxist who wants to turn America into San Francisco. But they're making her into a mythical figure and hiding her record like they hid Biden. So how do they distract us from talking about her record? They're accusing J.D. Vance of having sex with a couch. Not on a couch, with a couch. It's a weird thing to do. And now they're calling him weird.
I don't think Kamala Harris is going to pick anyone as weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Frankly, J.D. Vance, just dumb Vance, is pretty weird.
It's not just a weird style that he brings. It's that this leads to weird policies.
They're just weird.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate.
More extreme, more weird, more erratic.
The agenda, the way they talk to people, the way they address people, it is bizarre. It's weird. It is weird.
Well, it's just plain weird. I mean, that's the box you put that in, right?
Made up a story about J.D. Vance having sex with a couch and called him weird 150 times this weekend, so they don't have to talk about the economy. The Biden-Harris White House has rabid dogs, cocaine, Parkinson's doctors, and Dylan. No one had sex with a couch, but they're pretty weird.
Madame, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
No planet, no pride.
That's right.
By saying that Madame. You know it.
Indeed, I do. Madame.
The only way Kamala Harris even has a chance of winning is if she differentiates herself from Biden. She can't run as Joe's sidekick. The country wants change, not 4 more years. And after Russia, COVID, and the Biden cover-up, America's seasoned vets by now. We don't buy the hoaxes and believe the hype anymore. Our eyes are wide open. And if you're going to accuse someone of having sex with a couch, you better have video. Valuetainment founder Patrick Bet-David joins me now. All right. My mom, big lib, Pat, she calls me. She says, Jesse, you're underestimating her. She's a threat. She's going to beat Trump. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Am I wrong? Am I taking her not seriously enough?
I think you ought to listen to your mom. First of all, Jesse, it's good to see you back. I'm glad you're doing better. But
thank you.
You know, the part about competition is you can never underestimate your opponent. $200 million they raised. And the strategy they're going to get is when they make you change your game plan. And that's what they're trying to do to Trump. That's the part that Trump cannot fall and try to pivot to her in too much of a way. Here's what I mean by it. So they're going to try to agitate. Why? Because at the RNC, Trump gave a speech of being kind and gentle and loving and a way to unify. And they'd never seen a Trump like that before. It's like, who is this person? That's what happens when you have a close call. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 all these things are happening. And then Trump's threatened. And then whenever he's threatened, what does he do? Attack, 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 attack. I don't think he needs to, because when you put resume to resume, Kamala isn't 1/1000th of a resume of what President Trump has done. They're going to try to make the American people believe that she's done more things than Trump, but Trump just has to stick to his resume and not allow any of this stuff to bother him. And if he does that, he's going to win by landslide.
I agree. If he's the gentle giant and kind of almost soars over the BS and doesn't even pay much attention to it, doesn't get in the weeds with it, you'd say it's a landslide. But the problem, you're saying, is if he gets sucked into the gutter, and that's what they wanted him to do during the debate. Biden was supposed to inflame him, get Trump to go crazy, call him a dictator and a rapist, and Trump was smooth and decimated Joe Biden. Do you think Trump runs the risk of being baited by Kamala and the media?
Absolutely. And the reason for that is because there are certain people in the world that they can't help but to fight. They're natural fighters. When you come up in the streets of New York winning in real estate, every day's a fight. When you come up in media and you're trying to put up a show and you're number one for 15 years, it's a fight. When you come up politics and you're trying to become a president and all these things come about you, rumors, Russia, all this stuff, it's a fight. He's been fighting his entire life. So to tell a 78-year-old man who fights when he golfs, he does, everything's about winning. Hey, listen, pump the brakes when they agitate you and take shots. Who do you think you are? I've been with me for 78 years. You think you can give me any feedback? That's the tough part. But for me, it's resume to resume, and certain things as a tough guy, you don't need to fight 98% of people. Let your generals do the fighting with the 98%. Pick the top 1% of people you ought to fight. Go after them, but not everybody else. I don't know if he's going to do that or not, because here's the other challenge, Jesse, to be thinking about. Sometimes in your own community, you can be given a speech, and your audience you're speaking to in front of you, they're all like, yeah, go after them. Don't be nice. Don't do this and don't do that. That's exactly what you do. You're not converting anybody. You already have their votes. You need to get the independents to say, this is a different man. I like him. I'll vote for him. Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, I like him. This could make me want to support him. You're not, every time he speaks, he needs to realize you're not talking to MAGA. You already have them. You're talking to independent. Like, there needs to be an affirmation on the phone, and everybody around him, like just Marcus Aurelius used to have a slave behind him and say, hey, you're not as important as you think you are. Somebody needs to whisper to him right before he hits the stage. Remember, you're trying to win over independents, not MAGA. You've already won them over. Win over independents. That's who you need. He does that, he'll be the 47th president.
All right, so who wants to play Marcus Aurelius, his little guy in the background? I think someone should whisper in his ear, don't play to the crowd, because you're right. There's a temptation as an entertainer, because that's at his core what he was for many, many years on NBC, to get the crowd going and get that action going. But that's not what the camera wants. The camera, you're speaking to the nation. And he does have to remind himself that if someone else isn't going to do that for him. Here he is with Laura Ingraham just moments ago. He was asked about Kamala Harris. Let's see if he was as disciplined as you say he needs to be. Watch.
Everybody knows who I am. And now people know who she is. She's a radical left lunatic. She'll destroy our country. She wants open borders.
Then why not debate her?
No way. But because they already know everything. She wants to defund our police. She wants no bail. She wants no cash. You kill somebody and we're going to release you immediately. They call it cashless. That's it. By the way, this has been a horrible thing for our country. This has been what I just said. But we know where she is. She wants high taxes.
How would you assess that Kamala Harris attack there?
Look, I've been creating content since 2012, 2013. Sometimes I've taken 90-day breaks. I've done it 3 times. The reason for it is because I was no longer talking to the audience the way I did before. It was no longer fun. It was a grind. And the audience can tell on your face. My suggestion, that look when I see Trump's face, he's back to the grind phase. He needs to go back to 2015, 2016 speeches and listen to the way he spoke when he was selling the dream. Sell America. Sell your resume. Sell the greatness of this country. Sell how amazing of a job we did under your administration. Sell me on how my dreams can become a reality. Sell me what's going to happen when we get the money to go back into their pockets instead of the government. Sell me on that concept. Sell me the dream. Sell me America. I think he needs to go back to that, because he needs to almost go back and listen to this RNC speech by himself. Nobody's around, in the bathroom, pull up the phone and just listen to how amazing you were. That person at the RNC, nobody can beat. I said this on a tweet. I said, Obama at his peak, Clinton at his peak, cannot beat President Trump on the way he was at the RNC. They cannot. That's what they feared, because they were divided behind closed doors. How are we going to beat this guy? This one you just saw with Laura Ingraham, my opinion, I know I'm going to get a lot of texts. You have no clue what you're talking about. Who the hell you think you are? You're just a regular guy. I totally get it. I'm giving my feedback. I may be wrong, but the way he spoke at the RNC, he won millions of people who never thought about voting for him. That's the president that can win.
Because he'd almost seen God. He'd almost gone to heaven. And anyone that has a moment like that and is that close to another world, you want to hear, and you're captivated by that. And he captivated the entire world for about 20 minutes, and then he riffed. And if he could stay in that zone, that kind of grandfatherly, gorgeous, above it all zone, and sell the American dream, she's going to destroy the American dream. I'm going to give you the American dream. That's on point. Patrick Bet-David, I think you should just work for the campaign. I think I need a 90-day break. Okay, let's do it. I'll see if Fox is down for that.
Appreciate you, Jesse.
Thank you so much, Pat. The Trump assassination attempts being censored by big tech because it's so politically. You know when you're typing in a Google search and it suggests how you finish your sentence? Well, when you type in assassination attempt, Trump's name doesn't pop up. Even if you start typing his name after, like TRU, Google suggests you search assassination attempt on Truman. Google says they stand by this because they don't want to suggest political violence. Well, what about Truman? Google prompts assassination attempts of Truman, Reagan, Gerald Ford, Bob Marley, Teddy Roosevelt. So they're lying to you. And it's not just Google. Facebook censored the iconic photo of bloody Trump with his fist up. They called it a doctored image. And when we say it wasn't doctored, they said, oops, sorry, our software glitched. When you ask Facebook's AI if the Trump assassination was real, this is how it responds. Are you ready? There was no real assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I strive to provide accurate and reliable information, but sometimes mistakes can occur. To confirm, there has been no credible report or evidence of a successful or attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Facebook says they'll fix it, but all these errors are made in the same direction. They're not even satisfied with rewriting history. They're just trying to erase it. Why would our government, we the people, give these monopolies this power? Miranda Devine's a New York Post columnist. This is still happening, Miranda, after the laptop, after the COVID censorship. This is still happening right before an election. How?
Because they get away with it. They don't care if we see what they're doing because they know they are so powerful. Google is a $1 trillion multinational tech company. No one has control over it. The social media had enough power at the last election to deplatform a sitting president, Donald Trump. That was seen around the world with horror. Even, leftists like Emmanuel Macron were dismayed because if these companies are so powerful that they're more powerful than the most powerful politician in the world, then we are in dire straits. And unfortunately, these big tech platforms, they interfered with the 2020 election. We know about the laptop and social media that were coerced by the FBI and the CIA to do that. But also Google search. There's a scientist called Dr. Robert Epstein from California who's done some really good research into the kind of stifling of dissent and sort of uplifting of Democrats, in that case Biden, and in this case it'll be Kamala Harris. If you Google Donald Trump right now, you will get pictures and stories about Kamala Harris. The Trump assassination has been erased. And unfortunately, while this doesn't work on, people who are, I guess, already conservative or watching Fox News, reading the New York Post, it does work on undecideds, low information people who last election Google was encouraging Democrats and undecideds who leaned Democrat to get out to vote. But they weren't doing that to conservatives or people who leaned conservative. So it's a really concerted effort. It's, if anything is a threat to democracy, it's big tech's hand on the scale, thumb on the scale.
And they're doing it on the other side, Miranda. Like you said, they're doing it with Kamala. Not only are they censoring the Trump assassination search or the image with the fist, they're making Kamala Harris into, I don't know, George Washington in a pantsuit. What is that working, or am I crazy?
Look, I think it's illusory. I think it's fleeting. Every branch of the media is doing its best. I mean, New York Magazine has this ridiculous front page this week, and it's got Kamala sitting on a coconut looking like a hero, and they say Camelot. Kamala lot, whatever. It's ridiculous. They're trying to turn her into something she's not, and it'll work for a short time, but it's really a very online phenomenon. She's very unpalatable.
Okay. It's an online phenomenon. I have to get offline. That's what I need to do. Thank you so much, Miranda. Yeah. So what do voters think of Trump's assassination attempt?
Donald Trump was almost assassinated. What's going on?
If I don't know who shot Biggie, if I don't know who shot Tupac, how the hell am I going to know?
Fox News alert. We've gotten our hands on text messages from local police doing security for Trump's rally in Butler. And the assassin was on officers' radar an hour and a half before the shots were fired. One text reads like this: kid leaning around building we're in, AGR, I believe it is. I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards stage. FYI, if you want to notify Secret Service sniper to look out, I lost sight of him. That was sent in over an hour and a half before Trump was shot. How did Secret Service respond? They didn't. Local law enforcement said Biden's Secret Service never said a word to him that day.
He was looking up and down the building and just wandering around, and it just seemed out of place. We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened. And we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
Not at all. The locals alerted Biden's Secret Service to a threat and got radio silence. Investigators are still working to determine whether anyone relayed the information about the suspicious person to Trump's security detail or to other Secret Service operational teams. The locals are saying they told the Secret Service, and the Secret Service is saying, we don't know if they told us. It's been over 2 weeks, and the Secret Service doesn't know if anybody told them there was a threat at the rally. This doesn't add up. And they usually archive radio communications, but at this rally, they didn't. Why don't we know the name of Biden's Secret Service site commander for Butler, right? That man or woman created the perimeter. They didn't show up to brief the locals. They didn't tell Trump's detail there was a threat. They didn't put counter snipers on the roof. They missed a drone flying overhead. They were in the command center, watch post, while the shooting went down. Why don't we know the name of Biden's Secret Service site commander? Former Secret Service agent Tim Miller joins me now. Why don't we know who that was, Tim?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jesse, because the time for answers is now. Look, this was a cascade of failures unlike anything I've ever seen. And it was only by God's grace that Donald Trump's alive. It seems that every single area of the advance that, quite frankly, they had done 7,500 times since January broke down. And I think you're exactly right. We need answers for what happened, why it happened, and who was responsible for it.
So if locals a half an hour before are saying, hey, we see this guy with a rangefinder, I lost him, tell Secret Service, and the Secret Service says, we don't even know if anybody told us? How is that possible if the Secret Service put this whole communications team together?
Yeah, Jesse, I mean, these aren't rocket science type things here. Interoperability, command and control, especially between tactical teams. The fact that there weren't direct communications between the SWAT teams and the CS teams is unimaginable. What if it hadn't been a 20-year-old, but a coordinated attack on multiple levels? How do you communicate with the people that are actually responding? This whole thing is just amazing to me.
And now the detail in charge of Trump, the Secret Service detail in charge of Trump, they don't trust the rest of the service agents. Because if the service agents aren't going to tell them that there's a threat so they can keep their guy off the stage, how are they supposed to protect their guy?
Yeah, that's exactly the point, Jesse. And, I think it's so sad that the really amazing men and women of the Secret Service out here, working hard every day have been painted by this brush. But if I was to detail, I'd be asking the same question. Hey, if we don't know that a guy with a rifle's running around and on a roof, if we don't know that information, how do we know anything else that's going on?
And they didn't brief the locals. The locals are sitting around day of the rally. And they're sitting there waiting for the Secret Service guy to show up and tell them what to do. And the Secret Service guy just plays hooky, doesn't show up. What's that about?
Yeah, and let me just be clear. I just recently talked to a SWAT operator who has recently worked with the Secret Service. It's standard protocol that they meet face-to-face. They talk about all kinds of contingencies, and he shared that they actually get one of their radios and they swap and get one of the Secret Service's radios, so that this doesn't happen. And it's perplexing to me. I mean, this is a cascade of errors. And again, only by God's grace is Donald Trump alive.
Yeah, he's not alive because the Secret Service saved him. He's alive because he's lucky. And that is crazy. Tim, thank you. Kamala and white dudes. We'll be right back. The torch to Kamala to unite the country. And the country's so united that Kamala Harris is holding a big fundraiser tonight for white dudes, where they're, quote, coming together to create a space of trust where white dudes can support each other and work to elect Kamala Harris the next president of the United States. Who are Kamala's ambassadors to white America?
You've got some big Democratic names who are set to be on this Zoom call. You have David Hogg, who is with us right now. You have Roy Cooper, the former governor of North Carolina. You have Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Congressman Adam Schiff. Lots of big names.
Trump has Hulk. Kamala has Mayor Pete. Here he is at the White Dude fundraiser. Listen.
I'm a policy guy. I've never been totally comfortable with the truth that no matter how much you believe in your policies, so much of politics is just vibes. Having said that, the vibes right now are incredible. My husband Shasta and I were home over the weekend and stopped by.
Oh, God, I wish I could have heard what happened over the weekend with his husband. And did you notice all of Kamala's VP candidates are white guys? We haven't seen a Democrat candidate target white men like this since George Wallace. There's nothing wrong with appealing to white men. The majority of the country is white, and whites kind of decide elections. We were told Kamala was going to rebuild Obama's rainbow coalition, but now she's selling white dudes for Harris hats. Things, Tom. But you know what? I'm happy someone finally is speaking to me, a white dude. After all these years, I just feel listened to.
I know all of the oppression that you guys have gone through when nobody will listen to you. It took a black woman with Indian parents who is married to a white man. I guess maybe she does know white dudes because she is married to him and she's raising 5 white children. But I think it is funny that we have this situation where this woman is able to go out and say white dudes and white women for this black-ish woman. But Donald Trump could not say white dudes for Donald Trump. He couldn't say white women for Donald Trump. Each of these things would be racist. And I am so shocked, Jesse, because what I need you guys to do, you white men, while you're basking into the glory of her telling you guys you're wanted in the Democratic Party, because I know you felt so left out before. What I need y'all to do is check your liberal white ladies, because they're the ones causing the problem.
It's always the white ladies. They're always the cause of every problem. We've dissected this numerous occasions. But the white men, Tommy, were coming out of the wilderness. Trump really didn't speak to us. He just kind of talked over us. White men didn't really feel a connection to Trump. It wasn't until Kamala Harris came along and then Mayor Pete jumped in and made it okay for us white dudes to even consider voting for Kamala Harris. And we just want the attention. We want to be spoken to and listened to and unlearn things as well.
Yeah, you got to think about it. Buttigieg came in through the back door and came out and just said, here you go, guys. We got to make sure that these white guys are listened to. And what I think Kamala is speaking to is your love and your lust for black women. She knows it. Scandal knew it. That's why it was such a great show. You guys really want black women. And now Kamala Harris is giving you access to them. Why not? Vote this woman in. Get yourself not a chicken in every pot, but a black chick in every house.
Here is Donald Trump talking about Kamala Harris and the black vote. Let's listen, Tommy.
She's worse than Bernie Sanders. Now, she's trying to come back. She got rid of the laugh. I noticed I haven't seen that crazy laugh that she gets. She's crazy. That laugh, that's the laugh of a crazy person. She was a bad prosecutor. She was a prosecutor of black people. She put thousands and thousands of black people in jail over marijuana. But when it came to big crime, murders and everything else, she was weak. She would love to go after Trump. She says, oh, Trump, 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 I did nothing wrong. They did a lot wrong, but I did nothing wrong.
So how do you interpret that as a black man? I know as a white dude, it just makes me uncomfortable.
But listen, this is how I interpret it. When you have a woman that tells you that she was tough on crime, but she was putting black men in jail for marijuana, a victimless crime, but because, it's supposed to be my body, my choice, but it wasn't their choice to be able to smoke. But it was her choice to be able to smoke back in 1986 when she was listening to Tupac and Biggie's album when they both were 11 years old. Now, apparently, this is something we're supposed to overlook. But when you listen to Donald Trump, seriously, if there are black people out there and they're listening, understand that this woman is making this election about everything but policy. Why? Because she loses on all of the policy issues. And I pray that Donald Trump stands in and says something about that. So you white guys can be ignored this election. And what we need to do is focus on America.
All right. I'm just finally glad the whites are getting the attention we've been so desperately seeking. It's just about time for us, Tommy.
No, you got
President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
New footage from the July 13th attempted coup or attempted assassination, I should say, is coming out. Matt Walsh, I think is the guy's name, put up the new footage that just came out. And it looks like every day they're going to be coming out with more and more material. They already knew there was a problem, so they should have noted not to let Trump go on stage, but they did. I hope the video doesn't get banned on YouTube for me showing this video. All right, let's take a look.
If he was doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this.
whole entire fucking building right now.
There's something going on in this building.
So they have more than enough time to call it in and say, take the principal off the stage or take the president off the stage. Look at the time frame between 6:10 and 6:15. Location directly in front of the AGR building, in front of snipers' nest on roof.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator elected and to make sure
Oh my God.
we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America.
There's somebody in this building.
And it's not easy because we have millions and millions of people in our country. Dangerous people, criminals.
So the police thought something might be going on, and that's enough to just take the president off the stage.
In recorded history, we're the best order. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they could do it. You guys have access to that chart.
That's crazy.
You guys are doing it. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow at the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That's the lowest point, and that comes right from
Crazy.
government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. That arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history.
Look at the cops running.
Make yourself small, bro. I don't know what's going on.
He's got a gun. Dave Smith. That's crazy. And as you can see, more and more footage is coming out. And look what Matt Walsh wrote. He said, why didn't they take Trump off stage? Why didn't they get the shooter faster? Where they ordered the stand down. Agents also already had texts about the suspicious person with a rangefinder from over the hour before. The mere evidence that comes out, the more it looks like an inside job. No wonder Facebook and Google are lying to erase the entire event from history. So now they're trying to say that this never happened. Erase everything from history. We are living in some crazy time. But what do you think? Comment down below. And if you haven't done so, give this video a thumbs up because more and more evidence is coming out.
New this morning, members of a local SWAT team assigned to protect Donald Trump the day of the assassination attempt now say the Secret Service never met with them face-to-face. They spoke to ABC News about the lack of action after a local sniper texted about someone suspicious.
We had a text group between the local snipers that were on scene. I had sent those pictures out to that group and advised them of what I noticed and what I'd seen.
What do you think is transpiring once you send in what you've sent in?
I assumed that there would be somebody coming out to, speak with this individual or, find out what's going on.
My friend Aaron Katersky there. Text messages also reveal that the issue of the gunman was raised nearly 90 minutes before shots were fired at the former president. CNN's Zach Cohen here with the latest this morning. Zach, what are you learning?
Yeah, John, members of the SWAT team describing both a failure in planning and a failure in communication. And they told ABC News that it started with this briefing, that they were supposed to have a face-to-face briefing.
And little by little, the more failures they point out, the more and more it seems like an inside job. Like now they're doing it on purpose.
With U.S. Secret Service snipers before the rally took place, but that never happened. Take a listen to what they told ABC News this morning.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
So members of the SWAT team say they had no direct communication with the Secret Service at all on Saturday, which is amazing until after the shooting happened. That includes warnings that they picked up and they were talking about amongst themselves about this suspicious individual who would turn out to be the would-be assassin, that were raised hours in a group text with just the local snipers in it about 90 minutes before the rally took place. I want to read some of these text messages. They were obtained by Chuck Grassley, the Republican senator from Iowa, who is investigating the shooting at Trump's rally. One of them in particular, at 4:26 p.m. Again, this is over an hour and a half before the rally started. One of the local snipers texts, "Kid learning around building we are in," a little typo there. "I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards stage. FYI, if you want to notify SS snipers to look out, I lost sight of him." So this local sniper saw the would-be shooter an hour and a half before the rally started, texted the concerns about the shooter an hour and a half before the rally started, and it's unclear if that warning ever made it to the Secret Service.
Now, I'm surprised that CNN and ABC are covering this, because they're trying to erase history, like not give it coverage. Because at the end of the day, if this would have been like a Democratic precedent or something, this would have received coverage for the rest of the year. This is like the biggest news article that's been out for a while now. An attempted assassination, that's worst case scenario. So here they are trying to erase history, trying to bring in Kamala Harris, erase her bad history to make her look good, and just get us to think that everything is all right, that the president is okay. And even the FBI is lying about Trump getting hit by a bullet. That it could have been fractional or something. But you know what? That's what I think. You know where I stand. I think we live in some crazy time. Comment below. You think this was an inside job or just looks that way? But it really wasn't. Something to think about. But my name is Noel over here battling MS. Here at Verbal on Life, because you got to be verbal on life and put your thoughts out there. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up and let's spread the word. Get the voice out to everybody. Peace.
Verbal on Life.